Grand Rising. This is the Straight Talk Morning Show on the Straight Talk Network. My name is Andre Hill. I'm your host, and we have some interesting things going on right now. We got a lot to talk about. Well, first and foremost, we want to say hello to the chairman, co-host, Terrence Lake, up in Detroit, Michigan, where the weather is getting cold. How you doing this morning, Chairman?
Grand Rising, everyone. I'm doing fine, other than, like you say, the weather look like winter's trying to come in a little sooner than what we thought. I still look forward to the Indian summer, but it's cold out there. It's like in the lower 40s, and that's snow temperature, you know. But we'll deal with it. I've been dealing with it for 78 years, so bring it on.
Hey, Chairman, I know that the audience is looking at you saying you don't look like you're close to 80, but anyway, we're going to keep it pushing. Also, we have my son, Andre Hill Jr., the co-host, engineer, and Juris Doctor of the United Aboriginal American Republic. And he has been working this week. He's been enrolling people into our tribe because our people are waking up and they come into a realization that this United States of America corporation was fraudulent, and we, the aboriginals of this land, need to reclaim our status and our nationality. And it's a movement, and you can't be scared. You gotta understand this is your and tune in. So hey man, how you doing this morning?
Everything is groovy. What's supernatural, like y'all say. Yeah. It has been a busy week, but we got through it, got it all done, and we moving forward. So it's all good.
We need some young technicians to come in to work under Andre Jr.'s tutelage in AI development, because we have a massive agenda going, and it's going to require all of us, all hands on deck. So you got some young kids want to learn from him as a Juris Doctor in government affairs, in nationality, AI, computer. You need to sign up. Go to our website, uaaranation.org. This is no longer optional. You can sit back and say, well, they gonna open up the government. They're gonna fix. They can't. It's in their DNA. They cannot fix this. And the timestamp on the illusion has already passed. The only people that's keeping their illusion alive are melanated people that's worshiping their system and worshiping their artificial God. You got to think about that one. So we're gonna go ahead and get this show started. On Fridays, I always post what the topic's going to be on my Facebook page at Andre Hill Sr. And go on there and friend me. I got limited space left, so I'm deleting some people to get new people on so you can have updates. But anyway, tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Straight Talk Network, people keep asking why reparations never came. The truth is wilder than you think. There was a massive cover-up tied to the so-called 5 civilized tribes and a major church that played a deep role in this deception. You got faked out. I'm gonna leave it right there. We're also diving into a well-known boxer who's been under reptilian influence. And the chairman is coming through with the weekly 3-Eye Atlas update. I had a very heavy download on what it is signaling. And trust me, this one hit different. If you're feeling the shift, don't miss this awakening. Hey, so that's the topics. So we're gonna start off with we had a couple of videos, and they going into different directions. So hey man, go ahead and load up that first video and see what we got there. And then we're going to, with that particular video, we're going to kick into the dialogue on the show.
All right, let's see what you got here. Let's see what you got.
So, Also, Chairman, your Detroit Lions, how they looking? They on a bye week? What's going on with them this week?
I've been so busy this week, I didn't even recognize, who they even playing. I know I'll be watching them if they're on, but I think they already had their bye week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did.
All right. Well, I know they beat up
It
on.
might be New York they could be playing.
I hear
I'm
you.
I'm not sure.
My bad. Go ahead, Chapman.
So, well, we'll check the schedule on them. We're gonna go ahead and kick this video off, man.
The real American past. It's the rhythm, it's the blast. Feel a chance, they a mass. Welcome to the trap.
They say history is written by the victors, but what happens when the victors write with disappearing ink? Centuries ago, nations vanished without war. No battles, no fires, just words, twisted and renamed. They didn't burn the people, they renamed them. Indian, mulatto, Musti, Negro, each word a weapon, each label a quiet chain. What began as law became disguise. In Virginia's courts and Carolina's counties, the story of a people was rewritten. One court order, one baptism, one runaway notice at a time. This is how they buried the truth, not underground, but under paper. Nat, an Indian boy. Mary Greenlee calls him slave. The judge calls him mulatto. But the truth? He was half Indian, born free. Yet to prove it, he had to fight the weight of ink and skin. When the verdict came, the gavel struck like thunder. Nat was free, but freedom came with no name to stand on. The next man in his place might not be so lucky.
By order of this court, he is a freeman.
No!
Sybil, they called her Indian until she sued her master. Then suddenly she became mulatto. When they couldn't erase her courage, they changed her color, and the court dismissed her case.
A Yamasee, I'm no slave, they took my freedom!
You see, color wasn't just about skin, it was about control. If Indian meant you could claim freedom, they'd make you Negro before you reached the door.
All right. So let's be very clear. This is the greatest cover-up scam in the history of humankind. To take away a person's or a whole tribe or a nation's identity and sneak in, after the Aboriginals invited this group of people in and murder and burn down their houses at night and kill off all the leaders, all the storytellers, to erase the image of the original people and to take ownership of land that's not theirs. Now, the psychology behind this, all right, and this is very tricky, so you got to bear with me. If you create a new phenotype out of the Caucasus Mountains, yeah, and they come from out of the mountains, all the lands on this planet was already established by the guardians of the Most High. They developed civilizations, technology. All these things were already going on Caucasus Mountains. They had no land. They had to become slaves. They had to. They were attacked. If they tried to spread. And so this type of situation, and I'm trying to put it in common sense so that the Aboriginals that's watching this show can understand how we got into this condition, this position or situation that we're in right now as being slaves on our own planet, and we have to pay to live on our own planet. And so bringing all this into perspective, this new culture had to claim somewhere to live. If it didn't want to live in the Caucasus Mountains anymore, and then once they were exposed to the original civilization, they came up with the idea, well, the only way we're going to be able to exist on this planet is to start wars. And it's a primitive, savage state of mind. This spread it all over the planet, and it brought us to this point where we are right now. But you have to always remember that the guardians of the Most High, they allowed this to happen because it's all part of the galactic scheme of preparing our species to become civilized, truly civilized, or to elevate to a high frequency of understanding the three basic laws that we always talk about: unconditional love, respect for each and every human and their potential contribution to the whole, and treat people the way you want to be treated. Those are the three basic laws of the universe. All those 10 commandments, all that other stuff, it can all be compacted into those three principles to understand how we're going to elevate as a species. So how do we fix this? Well, now we talked about the reptilians. We talked about them being also a part of the subterranean world and their contribution to the culture that came out of the caves. And so this is kind of like part 2 of that, and understanding, what was their motivation. Now, the reptilians, they were not a good choice to be the dominant species on this planet. Now, they had their reign during the dinosaur years, and they did their things. We talked about this on previous shows. They made their contribution to the seeding the earth with all the different viruses, vaccines, and illnesses and all that stuff. They survived that and developed that DNA for the survival of the species that we have on Earth right now. Because a lot of people don't understand this, but the base of your human brain is like that of a reptilian brain, which is to fight or flight. And it's a very primitive state of mind, but it's not a good design to develop souls. So that's why the guardians of the Most High developed the Homo sapien, bipedal humanoid that we have right now with melanin in your skin. And so here we are. Once again, we're going through all of these changes and gyrations, and we're now coming to the expiration date. And the current administration is a prime example of that, because they're scattering, they're frightened, they're frightened because how are we going to survive without white supremacy? How are we going to survive without lying, cheating, and stealing, murdering, and raping, and creating fear elements? What are we going to do? And so that's the predicament we're in right now. So that desperation it is causing the calamity, wars, murdering, continue. And then who's behind this? Who's really behind this? And what did the reptilians what did they do? So since their program design is fight or flight, they have to eat. And they know about 3-Eye Atlas. Chairman's going to talk about that in a few minutes. And they know that's a signal that their reign of terror is up. And so that's part of what we're going through. I'm gonna hold that thought. Chairman, you got any comments on that scenario?
Well, it's a known fact that, a lot of our Caucasian brothers are trying to rule with an iron fist. And if you go against him, even his own, he'll destroy them. That's known. But the fact is, it's not going to stay like that, because at one time we ruled the planet. That's why we went and got artifact all over the planet. This was our planet, but we shared it with others. We got statues in China, statues in South America, and with the Shrine of the Black Madonna, that's all over. Even Putin talk about it. Where he's so mad he didn't want to say anything, but to def- go against the United States, he's bringing it out. Yeah, the Shrine of Black Madonna, that's black. Christ was black, you know. But the point is that we are a peaceful people, and we don't really want to have war. But for survival, you have to defend yourself, and it, we're not going to let anybody rule us the way it has been in the past because we were too kind and people took kindness for weakness. And now we have to stand up, if we want to continue our existence. So, people wake up and recognize, you know, that we got to learn how to live in harmony with each other, because if we don't, we'll end up probably destroying this whole planet, because China isn't playing games anymore. China was kind of ruled at one time, but China is probably surpassed us with their technology and their space, you know uh, information and technology, and we just got to recognize we as blacks got to get a space program too, because if it's not going to be fair and we're not going to be up front in the front row, you got to do your own thing, and we got some intelligent people. We've proven that, but we just got to be organized. And then things will just, nature will take its course, you know but the days of being ruled by other people, that's passe. It's got to end.
Well, Chairman, you made a statement, and I'm gonna jump, come off to that statement a little later on. But hey, Junior, you have your, you and I, we talk all the time about the different scenarios about how all this came about. Um, and from your generation's perspective, how do you see this thing unfolding? And after that, we're gonna go into the reparations piece. As a matter of fact, you can lead into the reparations piece after you explain your scenario of this dying matrix.
Mm, mm, mm. Um, yeah, I think you asked the question quite good. So, from my generation's perspective, and which I think is specifically my generation, those born in the, let's say, early to mid, well, let's say all the 70s and all of the 80s and the early 90s. We, with that generation that saw the transition from, let's say, some type of uh, naturalist lifestyle, naturalist way of living, into this heavily technological lifestyle. And what we're noticing is that, we can see the effect on our children's generation, those born in the late 1990s and on all of the 2000s. Um, we can see, they have that generation up under us or after us has a distinctive mission and purpose on this planet, but it's not to do the foundational building. They're not. They act as if they showed up to do, let's say, like the interior decorating of the house after it was already built, and that's fine, and that's fine. But what they're noticing is the house ain't built. If they're noticing that the house is not built, they're noticing that there's a there's some type of political atmosphere to where, there's a hold on the permit being pulled to even start to put a foundation on the property to start building the house. And so they're trying to figure out their ways of surviving in this technological era without having that underpinning of foundational resources, right? So my generation in particular, though, a lot of us are saying, "Oh, no, we got to separate from this matrix institution. We got to separate." And some of us are very well aware, like myself, Hey, we got to start from brick one. Hey, so be it. So be it. Some of us from my generation saying, I ain't starting from brick one. And they are trying to come with grips on which side of the fence they're going to be on. Meaning, am I going to acclimate or convert or assimilate into this matrix, the best way I can, and try to maintain my integrity and humanity and morality, and hopefully my counterparts, my colleagues of my same generation, hopefully they go ahead and get that place built over there. Because as soon as they get it built, I'm gonna go stand in line and try to get in too. All right, but everybody's feeling right now that there's a strong fork in the road. We either going to, come together like the chairman says, come together and uh, begin to build the naturalist and lightly technological world. Well, let's say a natural and technological harmony, because we can do that. It ain't got to be completely technological to where we are damaging our ecosystem around us, which sustains us. But we can have a balancing level of technology to our connection to the environment. We can do that very easily, very, very easily. And my generation, they see it, they see that we can do it, or at least they have the will and belief that we can do it. What I think we're doing over here at UAAR, is we showing them, oh no, we show you exactly how we're gonna do it. We show you exactly how we're gonna do it, and the exact personnel we're gonna bring in, and the exact methods of development that we're gonna use. But the spiritual reckoning, as far as my generation who has to take the torch next, is looking at this matrix and saying, yeah, it ain't gonna fix itself. I can't fix it. It ain't gonna fix itself. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. And so everybody's searching for, and for lack of a better word, an alternative lifestyle, which is a self-sustainable lifestyle, a fair and righteous self-governing lifestyle, and a spiritually ascendant lifestyle. That's what everybody's feeling and striving towards. And on an optimistic tip, listen, like I say, I don't even need people. Yeah, I have to say it straight like that. Me personally, I don't even need you to have all the information. I don't even care. It's like, I understand you're gonna gain and download information as we take every step. All I really need, or all I suggest that you lean on, is your will to do this. That's all we're really looking at. Your will to do this. And if you got the will and desire, you got the soul to do it, all the rest is gonna fall in line, family. The rest is gonna fall in line. So I'm gonna do what my boy y'all son say last week. I'm gonna land that UFO right there.
So, okay, so what we're doing, what we're leading up into this show, we got Aboriginal people that are waiting around. We're gonna get reparations. Okay, that's a good thought. But what are you getting reparations on? That you were brought over here on boats as slaves, and your ancestors were not paid a wage, or are you getting reparations as an Aboriginal, the same way the Catholic Church rigged up this deal with the United States government and identified these 5 civilized tribes, and what they've discovered in these 5 civilized tribes was that their DNA had a mixture of Asian and Caucasian DNA. So how can that be, when the original humans were melanated? How can they be owners of this land or had the authority to sign this land over to the United States of corporate America? So a lot of us, we're getting a wake-up call. They're cutting the food stamps. They're cutting quite a few things. And so we're going like, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to survive? And so here, if you go with the scenario, you came over here on boats from Africa, That's going to be a weak one because the current administration is going to take away your citizenship and deport you back to Africa. But if you come together as a collective under one thought, not necessarily UAR, we're gonna push forward. We're gonna make this happen, But you have to come. You have to be a part of an organization that understands the true history, how it was manipulated, who manipulated, and how we're going to respond in reclaiming our land. And you cannot reclaim it with bows and arrows and missiles and primitive technology. We're going to have to rely on the technology of the people that's flying 3-hour Atlas at 100. Hey, Chairman, what was it? 150,000 miles an hour?
130,000 miles an hour.
Yeah. Okay. So there are no I don't think that the Pentagon has anything in their weaponry on their level. So we don't have time to come up try to do that. All we have to do as a collective, listen, Aboriginal people, don't be waiting around and thinking that the Divine Nine and with their college degrees gonna go get the Trumpster to develop some compassion and do the right thing and give you your benefits, all that back. It ain't happening, So what we're gonna have to do, my son, he's signing people up every day now. They're reclaiming their Aboriginal status. They are filing petitions telling the United States of corporate America to cease and desist on using my birth certificate as a collateral to go and borrow money from other nations and run a con game. How does that con game work, man?
That's pretty much what it is. Just to keep it real simple, certificates of live birth, aka birth certificates, are now what backs the United States dollar. That's the bottom line of it, right? Because there's no gold standard owned by or let's say facilitated by the Treasury of the United States that backs the USD. Federal Reserve prints it in exchange for bonds from the Treasury, but they make that number up every year. Every year they make up a deficit of what they call it government spending. Right, they make up a number, arbitrary, but kind of based on how much they spent last year. They make that number up, and then they just write it down, one way or the other. Take it to the Treasury. They draft up bonds based off this arbitrary number that's made up. Ain't got no substance to it anywhere. And then they allow banks to come bid on those bonds, and with no real tangible credibility. Then so those banks, they go get, let's say, $9 billion bonds, and then banks go take them to the Federal Reserve, and they get that money printed or given to them in digital form or whatever have you. That's how the money's made. Literally how it's made here in the United States. And the only thing that is backing it, in other words, giving it some kind of tangible or empirical value, is everybody in the United States that was born here and got a birth certificate, because they use that birth certificate as a metric system to measure how, they just assume you're going to live about 80 years. They're going to assume that you're going to contribute this much into the economy with your energy and your time. That's what they just assume it based on metrics of everybody else who lived before you. And they assign that accumulative value to what the United States is worth in general, right? The fact that they know you're gonna get up every day, go do something to make money, legally or illegal, it don't matter, just as long as you circulating the money, as long as you're using it and believing in it, that is real. That's what keeps it. That's what keeps its value. And in every other country in the world that is willing to say, all right, well, y'all's dollar is worth this much. Y'all can give me one of y'all's for 100 of mine. They got the other countries believing in it too, because they know that American people every day gonna get up and acquiesce, believe in, contribute to, die for this system. That's how it works.
So, okay, so let's apply some common sense here. Now, you can continue to post your birth certificate and to be used as collateral for the so-called United States of corporate America, which Donald Trump is shutting down, done shut down, and has no intentions of restarting it. You know, you sitting around waiting. Well, our Democrats in on this too. So you gonna sit around and wait on them to admit, okay, yep, we pimped you. We used your birth certificate as collateral. We went and borrowed billions of dollars, and then we took that money. We sent our children to school to get educated on how to continue putting their foot on your neck and their foot up your ass. And while you go to work 40, 50 hours a week to wait on Social Security when you turn 65. Said what?
No, I just want to just elaborate more on what you mean when you say they send their children to school to learn how to maintain keeping you suppressed. Literally, I mean, they literally go to school. You know, those top Ivy League schools. They start getting in them fraternities and them sororities. What they learn in there is essentially what y'all calling witchcraft. In other words, it's systems and institutions on how to keep this system running. That's pretty much what they learn. They pull them to the side. Like, listen, y'all ain't finna learn no business 101 in here. We finna teach y'all how to run a slave machine, how to maintain it. And if you walk out here act like you about to tell somebody what we told you, good luck with that. Good luck with that, right? You'll be ostracized. You'll be discommunicated from trust. You ain't gonna get access to this, and you're gonna have to go down there with the mother broke Caucasian folk, right? And fight among the masses. You have to fight among other broke Caucasian people, among Aboriginal people, where you ain't got no leverage, right? So that's the option that they give. That's the offer they give them that they can't refuse.
And wait a minute now. So a couple of weeks ago, I approached some of these so-called 5 civilized tribes that were anointed by the Catholic Church, and they signed a contract with the United States of corporate America to keep this con game, this deception, this illusion up. And so we reached out to them. They ain't calling us back. You know why they're not going to call us back? Because they have a contract saying that we got a contract with the United States of corporate America, and we get a paycheck, and we don't want you to have none of that paycheck. We don't want to share it because, first of all, it'll violate the deal we have with between the 5 tribes and the Catholic Church, which is a demonic organization. And they know that if they violate that contract that they have with the Catholic Church, they will come kill them. They will take them out because they have no protection, because they're praying to a false god. We're not doing that anymore. When I started out as a kid, I got hooked. I was praying to a false god. Now I know how to tap into the guardians of the Most High. I'm protected. All I got to do is maintain the three golden rules. So, Chairman, is it what so you got a few years on me, Chairman, and so how did you see this development from the time you were a kid, and you coming from the 40s, get a job, get your Social Security, and watch the world go by and enjoy our planet while we toil 40 hours a week and then wait on pitlins at the end of 65?
Well, like most kids, you dream of graduating from high school. If you could afford, you go to college. If you couldn't, you get a job because you had to make some money. You wanted to have that pretty car, you wanted to have that nice house, and you wanted to get that pretty wife. And hopefully she had some education so you could start building your kingdom, and that's the way it worked. But you didn't know exactly where the money was coming from, you know, but it was just the way it is, you know. and it's supposed to have been backed by gold in Fort Knox, but then you hear later on in life that that's not even true anymore. They went and took all that and put it somewhere else because it wasn't as much as you thought it was. So as long as you keep people thinking that they got something, they're gonna keep coming to work. But if you told them all of a sudden, oh, we're going bankrupt, we got to shut the government down like we're into right now, some people are in a state of panic because they figure, where's my next meal going to come from? Well, all that should have been backed up by U.S. currency, but you're not really hearing the real deal. And it's not the first time that we've gone through a shutdown, but this one is the longest one, and people are getting a little anxious, like they don't know what's really going on, but it's all controlled. I mean, if we get in touch with a society that's more ancient and more advanced than we are, they probably got a better system that they won't have all this chaos that we're going through. It's got to be a better way. I'll land that plane or that spaceship.
So okay, Chairman. So they pimp our birth certificate. Junior, what are you doing? With the Aboriginal nation, and how can we use those numbers to build wealth in our tribal structure?
Wait, hold on, let me make sure.
So same way United States of Corporate America use birth certificates to go borrow money, start wars, and do all the crazy things that they've done. What the numbers when people come sign up with our organization and switch their nationality? How can we build resources from that?
I got you. Well, two ways. So instead of converting our people, our nationals, into livestock, right? Into livestock that we trade on stock markets, we create private trust out of, that we negotiate up unbeknownst to them as far as their value and contribution into the nation. Instead of doing all of that, we just say, hey, listen, we know you got some kind of skill set. For one, we know you were born with one. And on top of that, we also know you have accumulated or obtained one just living in this system all this time. You probably gained a few skills, because especially in this time, you got to have about a few skills to survive out here, right? So your experiences and working are valuable. You've worked in some type of fashion. I mean, saying that to say this, what you've experienced in this system, in this matrix, there is some value that we can abstract from it. Yes, absolutely. And so, whatever your skill set, I'll tell. Listen, a lot of brothers that have been lining up, signing up lately, typically they got trades. I signed up some brothers that are in the they got their CDLs, right? I tell them straightforward. I say, hey, listen, we got a whole transportation department that needs to be headed up. We literally do. All right. I said we got 12 governmental departments that needed to be headed up. It's some work for everybody, and there's some resources and money to be made with it. Talk to some brothers who are electricians. Talk to brothers who uh, what was the other one? Oh, plumbers, all of that. So saying all that to say this, your skill conversion over into a system like ours that will provide you intrinsic value for your contribution is what is how we'll build wealth over here. Now, in the meantime, realistically, we're making a transition, right? Because truth is, we all got jobs in this other jurisdiction. We all circulating commerce in that jurisdiction, and again, the transition process is intricate, but it's very doable. It's very doable. So we are setting up the platforms over here for our people to transition out of this matrix commercial system and apply their skills over here, where they'll be supported by an entire community, and everybody who has the mindset on converting those resources into something that has real, tangible, empirical value, intrinsic value. So that's the only thing that we have left.
All right. So well, let me ask you a specific question. So the numbers of people signing up and telling the United States of Corporate America to cease and desist using our birth certificates to make money, and you ain't cutting us no checks.
Oh,
Okay. So when if we let's say the United States government is pissing off Venezuela, Mexico, what do we say? What can we prove to these nations that we got our act together so that we can do business with them and get resources to work to save our people that's getting ready to lose their food stamps, their housing, they lost their federal jobs. What kind of benefits will our nation have with the numbers? That's where I'm going.
well, all right. So I'm trying to decipher your question. So in-house, we're going to have to plant our own agricultural systems. We're going to have to build all our own infrastructure. Straightforward, right? But what that does is that turns us into producers, right? That turns us into producers. So in the event that we want to collaborate or contract with any other country on whatever it is that they have a value or something that we deem they have a value, and we got something of value that they have, then we can make we can make a negotiation and a contract and a deal, right? Um, but what I think, primarily is going to be our most valuable asset is just the soul and the spirit and the culture that we have, right? Like you say, what you said when you used to go down to Brazil or go to any other country and you walk into a club, whose music are they playing? They're playing ours.
Marvin Gaye, let's get it on.
Right. Like it's has been, and this is still going on to this day. Listen, I've got some friends, they got children, and there's genres of music coming out overseas I ain't never heard of. One there's I think it's Korean, it's called K-pop, right? And if you go listen to K-pop, K-pop ain't nothing but a Korean rendition of hip hop. That's really what it is. That's the reason why they call it K-pop, to kind of rhyme with hip hop.
Right.
Right? And mind you, these are the children, and these are children. I was looking at the artists, and they all less than 25, younger than 25, I should say. Right? So, when we solidify ourselves and we can take more control and ownership over everything that we produce, right? I mean, because in this day and age, we may even have to start copyrighting and patenting words that we use, but they take those too and make money off of it and not cut you nothing,
That's true.
right? What's our family's name? The FBAs, the Foundational Black Americans. They big on that, on gatekeeping the culture, and which I understand that. But we're gonna have to gatekeep the technology that is used to promote and put the culture out there. That's really what you're gonna have to gatekeep first before you try to gatekeep the culture, because otherwise they just gonna look at you, observe you, copy you, and then go over there and make some money off of it. All right. But getting back to your question though, as far as the numbers go, I mean it's real simple. What's that old African proverb? Many hands make light work, right? Many hands make light work. What I've noticed or what I've realized in this movement thus far, um, you know, because we're developing systems to where we can sustain ourselves as a collective of people who have a tribal government, right? We're developing systems, services, products to keep ourselves afloat, which we make money with. But one of the biggest things that's happening is that really keeps us afloat is our willingness to come together and work with each other, basically on a volunteer level, right? But it doesn't feel like a lot of work when you've got 10 to 12 people working on the same thing. It don't feel like a lot of work then. Or is much more motivating when you have a group of people that you can rely on for support, right? It's like, you may be doing your thing, you may not need no help in the moment, but you can make the phone call, right? You can make the phone call, meet that community, which most other cultures have. Most other cultures, especially in this country, this is now an immigrant country. All immigrants, they be working together. They be working together. right? So you imagine we do it with our culture, with our soul, with our pizzazz. You know what I'm saying? It'll be practically unstoppable, right? It'll be undeniable. It'll be most valuable. So, did that answer your question?
Yeah. So we're getting to this point. To you Aboriginal Americans, you're no longer African American, you're no longer Negroes, you're no longer colored people, you're no longer that other N word. You are a very advanced species. And I'm telling you this, I haven't traveled all over the world. My son brought up the point about when I used to go down to Brazil, and I was amazed how much they appreciated these Aboriginal Americans because they believe we have something special here. And now here's something else I found out. I've been communicating with a journalist from Africa, and I said, hey man, we need to tie our medias all together. Come to find out, even in the richest countries, they don't control the media network. They have to use the Europeans' system. How ridiculous and crazy is that? That our oppressor, a species that's only 6,600 years ago, is in charge of what we're going to say to each other?
Yes.
Ooh, that burnt me. So we're working on our own network, our own satellites, and we're going to get it. It's not we working hoping it's going to work. No, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And we will be able to broadcast the true history, the truth about Earth, true technologies, how we're going to do for our children. All right. And don't be sitting back waiting. Well, you think they're going to make it? Yeah, we're going to make it. We're protected. We're not praying to their false gods anymore. We're not giving energy to their false gods. We're giving energy to the Most High, who has delivered you for all the time you've been on this planet. But we got to keep going.
You got a few videos you going to show.
You got this video here with Okay. So we're gonna show you how the alternative by trying to go to the dark side, what it's going to yield you. And stop preparing your children for this madness. Go ahead.
And like I said before, I'm not with you guys 10%, 50%. I will always be the voice for the people in Israel. I will always stand behind the country of Israel, the one and only Floyd Money Mayweather in Israel. I will always be here for you guys when you guys don't have a voice.
Look at the expression on this young lady. Oh. So here he is co-signing on a group of people that has murdered babies and mothers by the thousands so they can steal their land and build beachfront properties to invite millionaires from all over the world and to come gamble in their casinos and prostitute our women. You're gonna back that? So I'm going like, wow, this is some crazy. So this boxer got all this fiat. So my son said to me, this is why. What? So tell what you told me.
What about the
why he's doing this?
Because okay, so it's Israel, right? And Israel is the epicenter of media. Let me tell you why. Because they're the ones that are the primary orchestrators of Abrahamic religion. Abrahamic religion was the first media. That was the first media that was put out that was designed to mind control. The first one. I wanted to say that because when you were talking a minute ago, when we're talking about the media is their primary military weapon. Has been for about 2,000 years now, right? It is if you really think about it, how much value are you in a war to where if bullets get to flying and you become casualties, right? On both sides. Like how much value is in that in the war? No, they just rather control your mind and have you do what they want you to do versus be fighting you. End up might get cut, might get shot. They don't want to do that. They just want you. They just want to control your mind. So you'll do everything they want you to do, and that is 100 times greater, 100 times more value than fighting you head up, right? So coming back to it, I mean, listen, his name is Floyd Money Mayweather. We understand what he wants: money, right? He wants them greenbacks. That's what he wants. He wants that same fake fiat that we just talked about, the United States and the Treasury just make up out of nowhere. That's what he wants, because he still believes that it has value. He's an accumulator so much of it that what he's worried about in the event that it becomes useless, he got a big old stack of green toilet paper he can't even use. Right? So it is imperative for him to keep the belief and the illusion of that going. He needs that. He didn't gain millions, hundreds of millions of dollars on stage, literally boxing, in the media, and has built his brand. He just built his image on all of that. And he got hit upside the head with it, broke hands, all that. He done feel like he paid his dues for it. So yeah, he's got a lot of motivation to stand on their side and cheerlead for him.
So in other words, he wants to maintain this illusion because he don't want to lose the illusionary value behind his money.
Absolutely.
Because all that money, all he went through, he's getting ready to lose it all when the United States or corporate America fell. Indeed. So anyway, we're gonna have Mama Kelly. I think she's been very busy. She's one of our chief mothers, and she has a lot of more insight. We're gonna keep working on this. What I learned in media at FAMU back in the 70s was that repetition. We got to keep talking to our people to get that confidence and we don't have to talk too hard now because Trump is helping us out really well. You need to go to UARnation.org. You need to start signing up. We got people signing up their whole families, and we're building this strength. So you need to get with us. We have a plan for your children. We know every child on this planet, all 144 different personalities and what they're naturally good at. Unlike when I was in college or high school, I didn't know what I was going to do. But in this collective, we know how to lead and how to guide you. But anyway, this is my favorite part of the show. The chairman and 3i Atlas. Hey man, give us the latest update, and I'm gonna tell you what my download was. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's getting more and more interesting, very complex, and there's a war between astrophysicists because some of them still want to hang on to being a comet, where others are saying the possibility of it being extraterrestrial descent. Now, the technology that we have today to be able to view 3i Atlas, it gives us all indication that it is not a comet. We've got records on thousands of comets, and they all have a certain signature that shows up. Okay, this is a comet. This is a comet. No, this is an asteroid right here. No, this is a meteor. It has its signature. But 3i Atlas doesn't go along with that same program. It's different. It's showing you that it's hollow. An asteroid is not hollow. It's a big rock that's just going through space, and we got to recognize that, we got to open up our minds, of the probability and the possibility. But in some cases, we got evidence because we're tracking this here, and it's actually, it's reached and it's beyond the perihelion, but it's showing you that it slowed down at one point. So that shows you intellectual, hand involved with the technology, and then it speeded up. And now they're trying to figure out where in another week to 2 weeks it's going to be beyond the sun's, shadow. And then we'll be able to see where it's basically coming out from. Because if you look at the sun, you say, okay, it went in at the middle of the sun, looking at the outside. And as it goes across the sun, then it should come out at the middle there when it comes out. But they're saying that it's not going to come out, that it did some detour, so that's really got a lot of people confused. Well, if it's a comet, it's got to show its streak and it's going to end up in that same trajectory. But now they're saying it's not, so yeah, it's a lot that they're not telling us. And one good thing about it, though, that it's bringing astrophysicists together because they're having meetings now and they're discussing things behind closed doors. Okay, if it's intellectual knowledge, how are we going to deal with it? Then they're finding out that it's sending out a signal. Now, what comet do you know that's sending out a signal other than that crazy hell Bob where the people killed themselves because they thought their spirit was going to hook up with hell Bob? That I just can't understand that at all. But with our technology today, we know that this is giving us a signal. It's a frequency. It's a language of universal understanding, that we could dissect this here and it's coming to pass, but yeah, it's really interesting. It's phenomenal what's really going on. And there's so many people getting involved. And what I like about it is that common astronomers are involved and they're pooling their sources together to confirm that this is intelligently designed. Like I say, with this hollowness, a comet doesn't have a hollowness. It's a dirty snowball. It has a tail and so many other indications that I could go on and on and on. But just buckle up, because a lot of revelations are going to be revealed, you know. And another thing about this atlas, there was a channeler over a year ago said eventually our skies would be full of extraterrestrials, you know. And then let's not get away from the fact of what happened in New Jersey when all those drones were out there. Some were government, but some they still don't know the evidence of what it was and what it composed of. So, like I say, buckle up because revelation is coming closer and closer and closer, but it's for our good because with that type of technology, if they wanted to destroy us, we'd be blown out of the water like the sun exploded. 8 seconds and that's it. All you see is a flash, and then you'd be in the next dimension. But other than that, we want to see and understand to add to our excitement of life because life has so much to offer, but we can't limit ourselves by just thinking one way because the universe is infinite. Like we talked earlier about the speed of this object, 130,000 miles an hour, and it's not even past the sun. So it just shows you the vastness of our universe, how big the sun is. You can put over 1 million Earths in the sun, but if you look at it from here, you say, "Oh, it's just a little bit bigger than the moon." No, you're looking at it wrong. It's a hell of a lot bigger than the moon. You know, but yeah, it's interesting, and I'm loving it. Some of it is above my head, but a lot of it I understand, and I pick up on the vibration of it. But with the young generation, it's just gonna make things much better for everybody. So I'll land that spaceship.
Hey, all right, Chairman. So, I'm to conclude as in our last 30 seconds here. You know, you know, man, let me tell you, I was in the radio business many years ago. And the name of the radio game is, I would go out and say, listen to our radio station or buy ad with our radio station, because we have so many people that like to tune into this frequency. And if you buy ad with our radio station, those people will buy from you. So it's the same thing in this religious construct. All right. They figured out, well, we can create a new frequency. And it was the Catholic Church now this, I always lose people when I do this, who was set up by the reptilians, okay, Lucifer, whatever you want to call it, the serpent and all that. Okay, so they created this frequency. And what happens when you tune into this frequency? You give it strength. You add numbers to that radio station. And so people with businesses going to spend money with you because they want to get the publicity. So listen to my sisters, my church club going sisters. Just for give us 90 days and stop praying to Jesus for a minute. Just take a break. I was raised up. I still said I can be in trouble. I can say Jesus, but just take a break. Give us 90 days and just bypass the name Jesus, which was, if you go do your math, the letter J is only 500 years, and then the Christ was here 1,500 years ago. Just do some common sense, all right? Just say, I pray to the Most High. Just you, all you church-going club members, sisters, and watch how the paradigm shift will change. Watch how it will change. And stop giving energy to a system and a name that was set up by Lucifer, the reptilians, and then given to Caucasians to rule over us. That's like having the kindergarten rule a PhD class. A species created 6,000 years ago versus one that it took millions of years to get this melanin DNA going. So just give us a 90-day break. You still, and so, there's a term called repent, which means to change your ways. So the Most High know you got hook, wink, bamboozle. That's why 3i is here. 3i is demonstrating to you because it knew that these demons was going to tell you lies and cover up the reality of the universe. And so it's showing up to demonstrate they some lying bastards. And every one of them churches and the divine and all them sororities, they serving Lucifer. So just break away, say, okay, we got hoodwinked under duress. You were deceived under duress. So let's bypass. Hey, church-going club members, sisters, just give us 90 days and say to the Most High, please save my children. All right, let's try it. It's an experiment. You've been doing it for 400 years and it ain't got you nowhere. So give us a 90-day retreat. Let's focus on the frequency of the Most High. Hey, Joey, I'm gonna let you close this thing out, man.
Hey, I think that was powerful, family. I think that was powerful. I think that was a good word to end on. I don't think, just like you say, you do your sell, tell them your price and shut up. That's what we're gonna do. Hey, this has been the Straight Talk Network show, family. As always, we love y'all. Peace out. We'll see you next week.
Peace out.
Conversation piece.
See you next week. Mama Kelly.